on week 7 of training for Ironman Wisconsin. I'm averaging a little over 10 hours of training a week. I'm struggling to get enough sleep. I'm overwhelmed by house chores. Seriously, why does a window have to start leaking right now? But overall, I'm having a blast. Here's a look at the last 3 weeks of training.
How did the transition to clipless pedals go?
So that was the big milestone early in the last 2 weeks, or however long it's been since my last video. And we finally installed the clipless pedals, and after we gave ourselves an evening of just biking around the block here, practicing clipping in and clipping out and everything. End of the story, it's going quite well. I will say you couldn't have been more skeptical and intimidated by trying clipless pedals than we were, and we picked it up pretty quickly. That being said, I have still fallen twice. The first one was from a dead standstill, just waiting around. I forgot that one of my feet was still clipped in, and I tried to reposition my bike, and when I put my weight onto the left foot, I went over with it. The other fall was the classic, like at a stoplight and you at the last minute decide to try to stop, but you haven't taken your foot out. But luckily there was a very grassy median to my right, so as I was falling, I sort of tried to push my legs against the pedals to project my body into the grass. Mildly successful. I didn't get any scrapes or bruises from that fall, so yeah.
And have you acquired any other new gear since your last video?
Since my last video, I have bought a bike, and it is a 2012 Trek Medone 4.7. It's a all carbon fiber bike, and given the age of the bike, I got it for $500. That will just make it easier to put money towards a good bike fitting. Really want to have a bike that fits me and doesn't exacerbate injuries because of the fit.
How would you say your anxiety is about race day?
Anxiety is growing about race day as we finish hard efforts that are not even close to half of what race day will feel like, and I'm totally spent. It is starting to feel real, and it's one thing to think about these numbers of 112 miles, and then it's another thing to do 50 and feel like you have nothing left, as we did this past weekend, and think that's not even half of the bike portion. So yeah, there's a little bit of like, what did I get myself into?
Are you still worried about your biking pace?
I am still a little bit worried about my biking pace, but I have done some math. Of course I did it during a running math, big fan. The 14-mile-an-hour pace, that means you've got 8 hours to do 112 miles. And I think that it's reasonable to think I could get this one done in an hour and a half, so that gives me 9 hours to do the bike ride. And that allows me to go more of a 13.5-mile-an-hour pace, and that's much closer to what we've been averaging when you include our breaks for snacks and things. So that made me feel a little better to realize that, but I would still love to have more of a buffer, because as of now, the projected experience is that I will absolutely be chasing that bike cutoff, which, you know, could make for a dramatic story, but isn't the exact experience I'm hoping to have.
Yeah, a little bit stressful. What are you doing for nutrition before and during long rides and runs? Any new discoveries, any mishaps?
For nutrition, this has historically been an area that I've struggled with running. Long runs can cause my stomach to get really upset for the whole rest of the day. But the interesting thing is with biking, it's not nearly as sensitive. You don't have the jostling effect on your stomach. So my stomach seems to be able to handle solid food before and during bike rides. But looking ahead to the Ironman, since I'm going to be running after the bike, I think I need to start transitioning to more liquid nutrition, which is what has historically worked for me for running. The new discovery this week, or this last couple weeks, is a breakfast smoothie from thefeed.com with a really weird name. It's Kyoku. I may do a separate review for it, thinking there might be other people out there like me who really struggle in this area and can use all the tips that they can get. It's really delicious. It's made from, the top 2 ingredients are like sweet potatoes and chia seeds, and that it's really keeps you feeling very full. And I've used it twice, and it's been really nice. Mishaps, I went for a long run at the Pheasant Branch, and I packed all kinds of stuff. Like I packed extra clothes to change into afterwards. I packed my recovery drink. I totally didn't think about bringing water or nutrition for the run itself for 10 miles on what turned into like a 75, 80 degree sunny day. So I had to mid-run go to Quick Trip and buy a bottle of Gatorade and run around the branch with my fat bottle of Gatorade that barely fit in my hand.
Did any surprise celestial events disrupt your training in the last 2 weeks?
What a crazy question for you to ask. Yes, in fact, the Aurora Borealis dipped down into this part of the country, and apparently in parts much further south. And at 11 p.m. on Friday night, before our 50-mile bike ride, we made a game time decision to go chasing the Aurora, and it was totally worth it and amazing. And we didn't get back until 2 a.m. And maybe even the best part, my favorite part, was the fact that you could still see it from our house, and we got pictures of the Aurora with our house in the frame, and I never thought that would happen. We still managed to do that 50-mile bike ride. Maybe it contributed to the total exhaustion at the end. I don't know.
It was really windy.
I've
I've never experienced a windier bike ride.
It's gonna be windy on race day.
Oh. With all of that, how is your body holding up?
My body seems to be holding up pretty well, especially if I stay on top of my rehab type routines, my hip strengthening circuit, and exercise band routine. The hips is kind of the area that I struggle with. I don't really have trouble with my knees or my ankles or my shins or anything like that, luckily so far. So holding up pretty well, and as long as I stay on top of all the foam rolling and the preventative stuff. Tell me about the new glasses you got to protect your eyes from bugs at night.
I think it's safe to say we are still in the market. You have a friend. Do you think it rode our training ride with you?
It's quite possible.
What are you going to name your worm? Training friend.
Rubber Man. He doesn't look like he's made of iron.
Neither do you. The training for Fight Club. Liv is not training for Fight Club.